everyone, and welcome to our special online event, Built to Last. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch these incredible stories and hear from the lives of people partners of World Compassion have touched. Typically, during this time of year, we host our annual benefit dinners where we provide updates from countries and projects that we've been working on throughout the year. Needless to say, this year is a little different as we have moved into the digital space. In spite of all the challenges we've faced, World Compassion continues to make a record impact for the kingdom of God around the world. Over the next several minutes, you're going to hear some incredible stories of people's lives that have been changed. First-hand stories of breakthroughs directly from people in the target nations World Compassion is reaching. As you watch, know each story represents hundreds and sometimes thousands more that are similar. With the demand for truth in our world at an all-time high, you will hear how our teams have ramped up projects to take even more ground in the kingdom. You have come to the right place to be inspired by what your generosity is capable of accomplishing around the globe today. At any time throughout the program, if you would like to make a gift, you can do that easily through our donate option right here on this page. In addition, we have a very special guest, an expert on religious freedom in China, Mr. Bob Fu. Bob is originally from China, but after his imprisonment, he and his wife fled their home country and now live in the U.S. He's the founder and director of China Aid. Bob will be providing some key insight into exactly what is happening in China right now in regards to religious restrictions and censorship by the Communist Party.
Bob, why do you think the communist government views Christianity as a threat to their national security?
Predominantly.
This is a can't miss interview that is exclusively available here. Before we get started, this year we experienced the unexpected passing of the founder of World Compassion, Dr. Terry Law. Let's take a few moments to remember and hear some thoughts from our president, Jason Law, on the passing of his father.
Thank you for taking the time to join us for this special online event. As we continue to celebrate the life of my dad and our founder, Dr. Terry Law, I've thought a lot about the internal impact my dad made. Not only did he fulfill his purpose for his generation, but he inspired so many to fulfill their purpose. People like Don Moen, who has made an incredible mark on the church throughout the world with his gift of praise and worship. People like Pastor Jamal from Iraq, who my dad relentlessly pursued his release from an Iraqi prison, to the inspiration he had on each of his children. Many will be in heaven because of the mission my dad gave his life to. By investing in others, he built a legacy that will last and has inspired me to do the same. Not only was my dad focused on purpose and mission, he worked hard to juggle the balance of international ministry and family. One of the values I have learned and have taken for my own family is to invest in time and resources into experiences over material things. The memories I have from camping in Canada or the northwest part of the U.S., or my dad teaching me to play golf or snow ski are some of my fondest memories of enjoying life and adventure with my dad. Early on, my dad helped create disciplines in us to develop a personal relationship with God. He taught us to hear the voice of the Lord and discern His direction. It's an honor to carry His legacy forward, to stand on His shoulders, and to build on the foundation that He has helped to lay. My dad was passionate about the Word of God. It's one of the reasons why we have focused on providing Bibles in nations restricted to the gospel message. Most recently, we have delivered over 150,000 Bibles into the country of Iran, over 30,000 this year alone. I remember when we first began this project after meeting with several local pastors trying to find the best way to get Bibles to the church in Iran. One of our contacts mentioned drug smugglers would smuggle anything. He said he knew a guy who could get in touch with them, and the next day, there we were in my room, meeting with a guy that looked the part. Long dark hair, wearing a black leather jacket, and smelling of cigarette smoke. We sat across from this man negotiating prices to move thousands of Bibles into Iran, and I remember thinking, this is exactly the person Jesus would want to reach. After several months, one of the smuggling groups actually called our local contact and asked permission if they could take a few of the Bibles for them and their families. I would have never thought drug smugglers would have wanted a Bible, much less had the courtesy to ask permission to take a few. I have to believe that God was working on their hearts as well. These are the types of situations you would find yourself in if you did ministry with my dad. Over the next several minutes, you will hear stories of lives changed in Iraq, Iran, China, and Myanmar, and be provided the opportunity to continue reaching people for Jesus in nations restricted to the message of Jesus through your partnership with World Compassion. We're going to start with an amazing full circle story from Iran. This is an incredible story of a man we'll call Shane, an Iranian man who fled his country, gave his life to Jesus, and is now part of helping World Compassion reach his home country through his church in the United Kingdom. I recently had an opportunity to speak with him over Zoom and his pastor. He speaks really good English, so it will be helpful for you. Enjoy as you watch and you hear how God has transformed his life. Thank you for both doing this, Andrew. You guys, off of a golf game, started getting involved with World Compassion. Yeah. And then Shane's in your church. It's just kind of cool to see God bring these puzzle pieces together off a country that we're reaching. And then if I want to hear your story, but if I think I understand your story correctly, it's just almost full circle, and God works in circles. Shane, can you just talk? I mean, we're recording, but I want this to be a casual conversation with some bros. What's your story? Like, where did you come from? How did you get to the UK?
For the last 15 years, I always had some doubts, let's say questions regarding the tradition of the Islam and the God and everything. I remember that first time I went to the church, I was amazed just sitting. I felt that peace in my mind, my heart. Then I started just going to the church more and more. We always used to have a police, undercover police, who just watching you and see who's entering that places. The police department station, they just called me, and I've been there. Then they said, yeah, we've just been watching you for the last month, and we know that you go to church. Then suddenly I had a call from one of my friends. He said, within exactly 16 hours, the police were gonna come to your house. They're gonna check you and your wife and everything you have. I told my wife, grab your bag, put everything you need, clothes. I took my daughter, she was on that time 2 years old. Then we found a smuggler to take us out of Iran. We went to Turkey. We found ourselves in UK. I feel it's my destiny to just come to Bethel Church and meet Pastor Andrew.
Yeah, well, as a church, we've been working with asylum seekers and refugees for a number of years now. The families that come in, we were getting wave after wave of Iranians just back about 4 or 5 years ago. And they were coming into our drop-in center every day, and they were thirsty for the gospel. What actually blows them away when they come in from Iran, when they've been steeped in Islam, what blows them away is love and forgiveness. That's amazing. So Shane, I'm sure having to leave home, finding a new home, and having somebody welcome you into a city, into a church like a family was refreshing. Do you still have family back in Iran?
Yeah.
Like
my
immediate
dad,
family? I mean, I know your wife and your daughter are with you. Brothers, sisters?
I have my dad, mom, brother, sisters. My whole family are there.
Shaheen, isn't it true that your family have disowned you?
Yes, yes, that's true. When my dad just find out that I'm gonna start to I'll become a Christian, my family, then he said, you're not my son anymore. You don't have the right to even call us and everything. You don't have any father or mom or sister or brother. But I find my family in Newport with my church. The first moment I've been there, I felt that this is my home. The first moment Pastor Andrew saw us, he just welcomed us. He said, now you are part of our family. So we feel that this is our home. Pastor Andrew, for me, he's so kind, generous. He's funny. The way he started teaching my family and I the Christianity, it was very easy, but a loving way.
So you almost began your discipleship journey in the seeking process, so to speak,
exactly,
inside Iran,
exactly,
and that full understanding and that day where you made that committed decision was in the UK.
Yes.
Was that
yes.
correct? Okay.
I didn't know much about World Compassion at the time, and as soon as they mentioned Iran, my ears pricked up, because I know I've been working very closely with these lovely guys, yeah. And I thought, well, you know, we're doing something here, but if we can do something there as well, where the actual rubber is hitting the road, then we'd love to be able to get involved in the grassroots as well, because we're almost picking up the pieces here. We'd rather it be fixed at the source, if you like. And so if we can be just a small part of helping you at the source, then it was a no-brainer for us. We decided that we want to be partners with you and help in any way we can.
Well, thank you for that, and it's amazing to hear your heart in that, and that's our heart is to help the Iranian church, and together we're great to be that conduit, but we love connecting the local church here to the local church there, whatever country that we're in. Shane, how did it hit you? What was your feeling like whenever you learned that your church that you go to, that you're a part of, is helping to reach your home land, your home country?
I was very happy. First of all, I was shocked. There's a people who are willing to help us, who are willing to show the people in Iran that we are here. Don't worry, guys. We are here to help you. We are here to show you that who is the Lord and show you everything.
The Iranian community in our church, are they all the same as you? They are absolutely over the moon that we are getting back into Iran somehow?
Yes.
Good.
What would you say your hope is for Iran? What's your vision, your desire?
My wish is that someday or one day the people who just afraid to say that they are Christian, they're gonna have the freedom, and they're not gonna be afraid to just shouting the name of the Lord in front of everyone, and to feel that they're safe, the same thing that they feel right here in UK.
From my point of view, I very often think that in the Western church, we can get very complacent with our faith. There are places like Iran where a Bible is so precious. It is that precious gift, and we've taken it for granted. And I think we need to, is that verse of scripture, isn't it? Wake up, O sleeper. It's the time that the Western church needs to wake up, because we need to learn from the persecuted church. What's the worst persecution we get? We get a name called now and again. I can't afford to become complacent with the gospel.
So what was it like? So, I mean, we're over here. I'm just meeting you for the first time today. We've been moving Bibles into that country for almost 10 years now. One of the things that we talk about, it's not just that we're giving Bibles out, you know, because some of the country has access to online Bibles, some don't. Some people prefer online digital Bibles, some still prefer a physical Bible. But one of the things that we have heard from the underground church there is that it's a gift that they can offer, and it also provides a one-on-one ministry opportunity. That physical interaction, that relationship, Andrew, similar to what you ended up having with Shane, to be able to talk through the gospel and disciple him. You're telling us you've witnessed inside Iran the last 10 years, large growth.
Jason, if you're gonna, I know I'm having some friends in Iran. Every year, I'm gonna say, let's say at least the minimum is 150,000 Iranian going to Turkey, baptize and get back to Iran.
Wow. You're saying 150,000 people go out, get baptized, and then go back in.
Exactly.
Every year.
That's a minimum. That's a minimum. The Christianity in Iran is becoming something very big. The people start understanding that who's the Christ.
What an incredible story to hear how God has worked in Shane's life, and then just the full circle of a man who had to leave Iran because of religious persecution, ultimately began the discipleship process, has given his life to Jesus, and is now a part of a World Compassion partner church in the United Kingdom, helping to reach his home country. And he found out by a video that we sent to his church, didn't even know they were a part of it, and so he lit up, got to meet him. Just an incredible story, an honor to get to know him and his pastor, Andrew. I'm telling you, Iran continues to be the fastest growing church in the world. Our numbers at World Compassion continue to be up. The number of people that are requesting information about Jesus or asking for a Bibles continue to be at an all-time high. this year. It started this spring right when COVID hit, and it continues. We're getting somewhere between 900 and 1,200 requests every single month. The hearts of people are open, I believe all around the world, but we're seeing it dramatically in Iran. They're asking questions about God, and so we've got to continue to sow seed in that country. It is seed time, and we know there's an incredible harvest coming. We've been preaching that message for the country of Iran this year, and we're not stopping. There's been incredible momentum, and we want to keep going. I'm excited to report to you that earlier this year, actually the end of last year, we set a goal for 2020 to get 30,000 Bibles into Iran, and I'm happy to report before October hit, we exceeded that goal. We're over 31,000 Bibles into Iran, exceeding 150,000 Bibles total that World Compassion has smuggled into that country. So what are we going to do? We're going to double down. We are going to go for 60,000 Bibles now into Iran. We already have more Bibles in our possession. We just need your help getting them into the country to continue to seize this momentum that we had. If it costs us about $6 a Bible to put it into someone's hands, and you hear me talking about these numbers, but I want to remind you that every single number, every single Bible represents a one-on-one ministry opportunity. It's not just Bibles being dropped off and thrown out the window or something. They are hand delivering these Bibles to people, and it's creating a one-on-one interaction, a one-on-one ministry opportunity for somebody in the local church in Iran, just like yourself, wherever you're watching this, you're empowering somebody in the church in Iran to have that ministry opportunities, to share the gospel message, to invite them to church and begin that discipleship process. So think about this. We have already witnessed 31,000 people be presented with the gospel message this year alone. We want to go for 30,000 more, and you get to be a part of it. It costs us $6 to put a Bible in someone's hand. We've got 30,000 that we are ready to move. That's $180,000. I want to ask you to pray about what you can do to help us make that happen. Here's Lindsay to tell us more.
There is nothing like a life transformed by the message of Jesus. Research shows that Iran is the fastest growing church in the world. The hearts of the Iranian people are open. What a better place to sow seed into today. We'll be sharing more incredible stories over the next few moments together, stories from Myanmar, Iraq, and China. But before we move on, we want to let you know how you can make a special gift to World Compassion today. The easiest way to give is by using the donate option right here on this page. When you commit to giving on a recurring basis, it allows us to plan, strategize, and make a bigger impact. You can also text to give right there on your phone. It's as easy as this. Grab your phone, open a text message, type the number on the screen and the amount you want to give, and you're off and running. You can also give by check by making it out to World Compassion and send it to the address on your screen. Your information is always kept safe and private, and our team is amazing at communicating receipts of your gifts. Our team firmly believes that this is the right season to be generous and lean into the move of God that is happening in Iran. We hope that you will consider partnering with us as we continue to take ground together.
There's families that I'm friends with that use TikTok, and their kids' faces are on TikTok. They're using this right in their living rooms and their bedrooms at their own home. Are you saying that the Chinese government, even in spite of privacy settings on those applications, are more than likely garnering the audio and the video content and using that in some way?
100%. I mean, you have to read the Chinese.
Now, I want to introduce you to someone really fun, a sharp, charming, and funny entrepreneur who is currently going through our ABC discipleship program in Myanmar. Because of the knowledge and confidence she gained from ABC, Golden is impacting the business community in Myanmar in ways that we would never be able to. Myanmar is a country that is 89% Buddhist, a country that is predominantly unaware of the gospel message of Jesus. Check out how Golden has been applying her discipleship training and shining a light into places the gospel has never been seen or heard before.
Hey Golden and Now, great to see you. I want to thank you again for taking time to sit with us, to talk with us. Now, I know you are leading groups of ABC in Myanmar, and Golden, you are a student in one of those groups, and just met you a few weeks ago and discovered you actually speak really good English, so we're excited to be able to talk to you today. But we want to hear your story. We want to know more about you, Golden, and what life was like maybe for you before you met Jesus, and what life is like now, and what caused you to take that step to start studying ABC.
I know Jesus since I was 5, let's say, but I really met him, encounter with him starting from 2013. Like year by year, I was just really desperate. I want to know more of him. I used to work as a tour guide, so I have to study a lot about Buddhism. So then one day I'm like, oh, I study so much about Buddhism, art and culture and history and doctrines and knowledge, so much it. But I don't have that kind of knowledge in my Christianity. All my knowledge is all based on my Sunday school lesson, which is great. But then I realized, and then I said to myself, oh, I want to know more. But then from 2017 and 18, I became more and more desperate, and then I really hunger and thirst that I really want to know him more. I really want to know Jesus more and more, deeper and deeper. So then in 2020, early this year, very unexpected, I have that opportunity that Pastor now invited me to join the class. In the beginning, I thought it's only for all the ministers from the church. I asked her, oh, can I? Because I'm just a lay person. And then she said, of course you can. Yeah. Some days we did like 5 lessons, right? 4 lessons. Like we just keep going and going. We can't stop. Like wow. Usually we start meeting at 12 noon, like after lunch, and then we just sitting, talking, praying, and then start lessons. Sometimes like we finish by 4. We did 5 lessons in one day. Some days it depends on how many pages of each lessons. So like some days only 2, some days 3 lessons. So we really enjoy. It's really changed my mindset. It makes me stronger. It's great that I have that ABC lessons, and then I can really share like persons to persons, face to face. So I have lots of non-believer friends in the business industry, especially in Myanmar. Most of my partner, my friends, they are all non-believers. My business meetings usually is like it's only about 45 minutes, 1 hour maximum, but we end up 3 hours. The first 1 hour is like talking business, and the second 2 hours is I start sharing, and then they're so interesting. I have Jesus take it like deep roots in my heart more and more every day. So it's been growing and growing and growing each day. It's because I understand him more. I know, and I meet him, I know him, I encounter with him more and more and more. So each day, that's why he changed inside of me. Like my outside might be the same as 10 years ago, but my inside is it's changing. The Holy Spirit is with me all the time now. I'm so glad that people around me, they notice that. The way I think, the way I see my God, the way I see the Holy Spirit, the more I know him, my confidence is stronger.
I want to encourage you for a minute. Everything that you've just talked about is what Jesus told us to go and do, and is the core mission of why we do ABC. And I know for now as a pastor and a leader over there, I'm sure hearing you talk, I hope now that you're encouraged by the work that you've done and pastoring and leading and the seeds that you've sown into Golden's life. This is what it's about, Golden. It's not about preaching from the stage all the time. In Ephesians 4:12, Paul said it's the ministers, pastors, teachers, prophets, evangelists, the fivefold ministry giftings that are talked about in Ephesians 4. The purpose of those giftings are to equip or to empower the saints or the people, God's children, to go do the work of ministry.
Even though I am born and raised in a Christian family, but like my daily life, every day I have to deal with like all non-believers most of the time. Some are Buddhist, some are like all different types of religions, and some are even atheists. That makes me even more hunger and thirst of Him, because I want to know. I want to know more and more and deeper and deeper and deeper. I'm so blessed to be able to join ABC Lessons.
That was such a fun call with Golden and her leader of ABC. You know, I've got to brag on Golden a little bit. One, it was nice because she speaks English. Not all of our students in Myanmar or around the world speak English, so we've been blessed to be able to talk with some English speakers. But at the end of our conversation, I knew that her and her husband owned a business, and I just began to asking her a little bit more questions, getting to know her and her family a little bit more, and come to find out, her and her husband actually own a substantial size construction company in Yangon, and she was very slow and being forthcoming with that. Just such a humble spirit, but a confident person. It's just amazing to hear her talk. I literally believe that we can see the fruit of ABC coming out in some of the conversation that I was able to have with her. Her talking about how she has been transformed by the renewing of her mind, the confidence that she has now to share the gospel. Even in her staff meetings that she was talking about, they would lead staff meeting, and then afterwards she sits there and shares with some of her staff and employees about what she's learning in ABC, and they're asking questions. These are Buddhist people. Myanmar is 89% Buddhist, and here we have empowered Golden, a significant business owner who is taking it upon herself to extend staff meetings and preach out of some of the lessons of ABC. And so it's just phenomenal to see the fruit of this program, how it's transformed her, how it's given her courage and her boldness, not only in her life to apply God's word, but now she is spreading that to people within her sphere of influence. When Jesus said, go and make disciples, this is, I believe, what He meant. We're discipling somebody who's going and making more disciples. It's such a sure foundation. It's a strong way to do it. And we've got an incredible momentum in Myanmar right now, an incredible opportunity in front of us. ABC is 336 lessons of comprehensive and systematic Bible training. It teaches the spiritual foundations, biblical foundations, how to study the Bible, how to read the Bible, but it also goes through leadership and marriage and even church planning training. So it's well-rounded, and it is equipping people like Golden to reach their country. We have incredible momentum. We've had over 900 students, I believe, already finish the curriculum. We've got over 400 students right now that are going through it. In the process of adding another 380 students, it's going to put us over 800 students that are actively studying right now. But we have access to thousands of more students that we can put this curriculum into their hands, but we need your help to do it. And here's what I want you to envision. I want you to think about Golden and just the impact that she has made, but think about the hundreds of others that we already have students, but then think about the thousands more that we could reach, and how we, through World Compassion, could make an impact in the country of Burma. People that are predominantly Buddhist, introducing them to the message of Jesus through one-on-one evangelism and discipleship training. ABC helps us to accomplish, to do that. We need your help to do this. We've got a goal for 1,000 students more at the end of this year. It costs us about $50 to put this curriculum into their hands. That's $50,000 that we need for ABC in Myanmar right now. I want to ask you to pray about what you can give, and then give generously. Here's Lindsay to share a little bit more about how you can give to ABC in Myanmar.
Thank you so much, Jason. What an incredible story and opportunity we have to continue to equip and empower leaders like Golden to take the message of Jesus into the darkest places in Myanmar. I love that Christianity is no longer just a religious practice for Golden, but that she is grounded and confident in her relationship with God, a completely foreign idea to many in the Eastern world. There are hundreds more just like her that we are currently reaching, and thousands more waiting to be reached. Today is a great day to make a decision to help us continue to make disciples in Myanmar. Here are a few simple ways you can partner financially with us today. We have a donate option right here on this page. You are one click away from equipping a student in Myanmar. Recurring giving is the best way to give. It allows us to be intentional and strategic in how we plan and budget. If you already give on a recurring basis with us, we want to say thank you. We value and celebrate the faithfulness of your obedience to how God is leading you. Our text to give option is a quick and convenient way to send in your gift. Also, you can give by check today by making it out to World Compassion. We are so thankful for your generosity and could not do the work that is happening in nations like Myanmar without you. A reminder that coming up in just a few minutes, an exclusive interview with Bob Fu, a leading voice on religious freedom in China. The content of this interview is sure to be eye-opening and bring a greater awareness to the intentions and inner workings of the Chinese government. You don't want to miss it. You know, COVID-19 changed a lot of our plans. I know for me personally, I had to cancel and change our summer vacation plans. Yes, this was challenging, maybe even frustrating at times, but my family and I were able to adapt and even find use for our time that was unexpected and still very fruitful. This same experience happened with one of our leaders, Khalid, who is a pastor in Iraq. When access to one of the church planting locations was closed down due to coronavirus, he had to call on one of his leaders to help pastor the people. For the sake of protecting his identity, we will call him Amir. Watch how Khalid and Amir's experience of leading their community through COVID is a prime example of our ministry model that is truly built to last. Let's take a look.
So how did you meet Pastor Khalid?
I know him after behind 7 years. We working together for sharing the Bible, for praying together and go to the church.
How specifically did you guys meet? It was at a conference or?
Yeah, you know, when I'm in the working, finish my work and I'm go to near market, I see him with some friends and he's speaking about Jesus. After that, I get him this number, and after calling him together, see and stay somewhere and see in Erbil, Suleymania. He's come to here, I'm come to go to Erbil. After we have been friendly.
So he was in a park talking to people about Jesus, and you knew some of those
Yes.
people, so you came over.
Yeah.
You listened to him.
Yeah, something like this. Yeah.
Yeah. So is Khalid the one that led you to Jesus?
Yes. Before I was a believer in Jesus, I don't speak with the Arabic people. But right now, I can listen to the people. Yeah, come to here, show me what you want. What's your problem? I have a hope in my heart, my mind. So when I see the people don't have any hope in their life, and I can listen to him, and I can speak with him, and I can help him out, and he find his problem and finish it. You know, before I believe I ever told my father I love you, but after, you know, I told my father, my family and my family, I love you and you're important to me, and God do this for me, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sharing this number Bible for people.
500 is a lot of people. So you've personally talked to 500 people about Jesus.
I'm getting the Bible, told him, please read. If you have any questions, tell me.
Okay, so you've handed the 500 people a Bible.
Yeah, yes. And I see this number of the people speaking about the Jesus.
200.
Please, let's go to change your life. Something like this, accept this as the Jesus, you know.
30 people?
Yeah.
That's good.
Like this, yeah. But some people all time speaking with me about this. I have some question about that Jesus in here say something, you know.
Yeah.
Like
You're doing a great job. How is the church in Suleymania doing? Are they able to come together and meet every week right now?
every day, every night, people come to hear, you know, speaking about God and get the Bible and talking about God's plan and staying here and eating, you know, talking about the world, what happiness, and sometimes talking about something different, absolutely. But all the time we speak about the Jesus, what's the God's plan, what's Jesus say, what the Bible.
So almost every day you have people coming.
Yes, every day people come to here. But when people in here, his name Daniel, we're together speaking all the time. We don't believe anything, don't believe God. I all the time say I don't need the God for my life. But all the time I'm speaking about the Bible. Please read. I suggested to him read the Bible. One day he's come to here to get the Bible and go home. When he finish it, say, wow, actually it's changed something on my life. If I don't line any with myself, this book has changed me, you know. And he said to me, I have some question like, why God do that in this here? Why Jesus do that? Why Jesus needed this, you know? when you're reading the Bible, you see some question in your mind, say, why happen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And after that, this come to me. I say I come to believer, and I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus. Show me the way. How can I come inside that? Believe in Jesus. And I told him, you know, it's a believer. You say, I see the God's plan to me in this book.
I've really enjoyed our conversations with these gentlemen over the last couple of weeks, being able to sit and talk with them and hear about what God is doing. You know, our theme for this online event is Built to Last, and the ministry model of World Compassion is to equip, train, and empower the local church in the countries that we work in. We believe that is where sustainable ministry takes place. And I think this story is a great example of that, where Pastor Khalid couldn't get to the place where he was planting a church in northern Iraq with COVID. They shut transportation down from one city to the next. It's the church planting location that World Compassion has been helping Pastor Khalid over the last year, and so he couldn't get there. So Amir, his oldest convert in this location, had to step up. He had to become the pastor. And even though we couldn't be there or Khalid couldn't be there, Amir stepped up and he took what he knew and he took the scriptures that he knew and he began to invite people over for tea and for dinner, and just reading through the Bible, he continued to pastor that flock. But not only did he help maintain, he took ground, passing out 500 Bibles to people during this season, praying with over 200 people and seeing 30 people in northern Iraq give their lives to Jesus. I'm telling you, that is a big deal in Iraq right now. Somebody who has not been the primary leader, to see him step up in boldness and courage to go out and to practice what he preaches, to take that conviction, that rootedness that's inside of him, and to go and reach people for the gospel message. I'm telling you, empowering the local church in these countries is where true, sustainable, transformational ministry takes place. It's an honor to partner with these guys. We're going to continue to help empower church planting in Iraq. We've got a project for $28,000 that covers an entire church plant over the next year in northern Iraq. I want to ask you to pray about giving to that as we continue to church plant in northern Iraq, but we're also continuing to do refugee relief. One of the things I'm most excited about is our Yazidi sewing program, continuing to help these Yazidi women rediscover their dignity. I know refugees in Iraq have been off the news. It really hasn't been a part of our world. But even since years has passed, since ISIS has come through, there are literally still hundreds of thousands of refugees living in tents and in unbuilt structures trying to survive. And so we're continuing to provide a sewing program to Yazidi women, helping them to rediscover their dignity, but also giving them a skill set where they can make something and sell it and provide resource for their family. And so we've got a project, that Yazidi sewing program project, costs us about $21,000 to run for an entire year. And we're believing that's going to get funded right now, that's going to be covered, and we're going to be able to add new programs to reach more people. So I want to ask you to pray about helping us to continue to reach into Iraq. Total of $49,000 of projects during this online event that we want to raise to help reach Iraq, set us up really strong, finishing 2020, going into 2021, ready to add more and to take new ground. We couldn't do this work without you. I want to ask you to pray about what you can give. And here's Lindsay to teach us how you can give specifically to our work in Iraq.
To give to Iraq today, simply click on the donate option right here on this page. You can also make out a check to World Compassion, or you can text to give right from your mobile device. No matter your method of giving, all of your information is protected and kept private. Our team keeps a record of your giving for tax purposes and will be communicating out to you shortly after we receive your gift. We are so honored not only to share these opportunities with you, but to share the wins with you as well. And that's what today is all about, celebrating what God has done and is doing through your intentional partnership and generosity. We are all a part of something special, something bigger than anything we could do on our own as individuals. This is truly a representation of the body of Christ coming together to build the kingdom of God and take ground in the darkest places. We couldn't be any more excited to get to do this with you.
Can you talk about your experience a little bit as a pastor? I know that there were some things that the local police were kind of trying to intimidate you and things like that. Can you speak to that a little bit?
For underground church pastor, it was always facing the risks from the policeman and from the national security policeman. Once, they came to my apartment, but first they did not tell me who they are. They just say, we just come to check something. Oh, I said, welcome. Well, what are you checking about? But they're looking for everything in my apartment. They told me, oh, we are the policemen, national security policemen, and we heard you are a pastor and you have influence in this city and you said something against our regulations. I said, I never. I said, I love this country. I love this country. I love these people. I never do this. I never did this. You must get something wrong. They said, no. We know you know who you know, something like that. And right now we need you to go back to the policeman station with us, which means they were trying to arrest me.
Yeah.
But that was in my home, and in that time my 5-year-old little son said, "Where are you going, Daddy? I want to go with you." I was almost tearing up. That little guy did not know what's really going on. He did not know his father was, arrested by the policeman. He even wanted to go with me.
As we just heard from one of our leaders on the ground in China, it is commonplace for local authorities to monitor, arrest, and intimidate Christian leaders all across the country. To help bring more insight into this increasingly restricted climate in China, we have prepared this interview with Bob Fu exclusively for you. As someone who has had to flee China, Bob is now a leading voice on religious freedom in China. The information he shares is sure to be eye-opening. Take a look at this recent sit-down our President Jason Law had with the leader of China Aid, Bob Fu.
Remind me, did you say you met my dad in China or did you meet him here? Was it back in the 90s? Okay.
In China, yeah. We spent some very good quality time together, and he is just a real, godly man, a true leader for the mission, and, love the Lord. I could tell that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your condolences on that, and we're going to continue to celebrate and continue his legacy forward, so.
Amen, yeah.
Well, Bob, quickly, maybe give a little bit of background so people who view this understand. You shared with me how you used to live in China. Can you just give a little bit of that background about yourself and then how you ended up here in the States?
Yes, I was born, grew up in China and educated under the communist atheistic education from my childhood all the way to the higher education. Then in 1989, I became one of the students leaders in my college and led students protest in the Tiananmen Square in Beijing. And later that year, during the kind of Communist Party's time of revenge, I was being interrogated, treated like criminal. Then by the grace of the Lord, I think God found me, and I became a follower of Christ later that year. And then I started engaging actively with the house church movement in China, and started a house church in Beijing and an underground training center as well. So for that, both my wife and myself were arrested, then imprisoned for 2 months, being accused of engaging in so-called illegal evangelism. And after being released, immediately under house arrest, and my wife was pregnant without permission or quota of authorization, and facing imminent rearrest and possible forced abortion of our first child. So by God's grace, we fled out of Beijing, hiding in the countryside, and later on God opened the door. We went to Hong Kong and hiding there for almost 8 months. 3 days before Hong Kong was handed over to Communist China, we were accepted as refugees to the land of the free, the United States of America. So in 2002, while I was a student at Westminster Theological Seminary in Philadelphia, China Aid was established. Basically, it's to walk with the persecuted brothers and sisters and be a voice for those voiceless by exposing the abuses of the persecution, encouraging the abuse, and equipping the leaders in China. So that's what I have been doing.
Let's dive into that a little bit. The last couple of years, I think in 2017 it was, you can correct me if my years are off, the Chinese government instituted several new laws that begin to crack down on the church. And so one question would be, can they crack down on the church, but did they also crack down on other religions, Buddhism, Islam, etc., or is it just targeting the church? But can you explain maybe a few of those key laws that have made the biggest impact on the church, and what is their goal in that?
As you said, quite a few, laws were passed in the name of national security by the Chinese Communist Party. The regulation on religious affairs was passed and took effective on February the 1st, 2018. Yeah. And so that, for the first time, really since the Communist Party took over China, according to that law, basically the religious matter is put on under the so-called national security land. The Communist Party made it all-out approach, kind of assault to attack any independent believers or organizations with 30 some different government institutions authorized to take down or persecute anyone who is deemed as an illegal religious organization, religious member, or any institutions. The so-called Sinicization, basically is to be made religion compatible with socialism and communism was the goal. House church worship, in your own homes would be declared totally illegal, and even prayer meetings. So also the Christian literatures or other religious literatures are totally forbidden unless you have to get explicit authorization from different layers of Communist Party authorities, and overseas religious education like seminary studies, unless you are sent and authorized by the official government institutions like the Religious Affairs Bureau, the United Front Working Department of the Chinese Communist Party, at all levels. Otherwise, you would be declared as illegal. And even online study, for a seminary course online, would be declared as illegal religious activities and subject for punishment.
Are they very lenient? Do they give much approval? Or obviously the control of all that is in the government's hands, so how frequent do they approve people to do this?
Yeah, this law is very, very strictly enforced. I can tell, because right after that, actually on the same day, on February the 1st, 2018, the same day after this new law took effect, in Henan province alone, more than 10,000 churches, the government-sanctioned churches, were closed. the quota was to close down 2/3 of government-sanctioned churches. And all of the house churches, including the very famous group. I think Father Terry has been even working in the past, called China Gospel Fellowship.
Yeah,
they're totally declared as illegal, and hundreds of thousands of their churches were totally shut down. Basically, any independent institutions, organizations, especially religious organizations, that is not under its total control is regarded as a political threat to the existence of the Chinese Communist Party.
Because they view it as a battle for... Do they view it as a battle for the ideology of people?
It is. It's a battle for mind and heart, and especially in the eyes of President Xi Jinping. He seems has a particular animosity against Christianity. Of course, I think because of the rapid revival and the growth of the church. Just to, think about that. Every Sunday, actually every week, you have, close to 100 million Chinese Christians were still worshiping, in their homes, on the road, on the riverbank, on the caves, wherever they go. And even with this, the Communist Party's stricted laws, I think it made them scared, right? The number of Chinese Christians certainly had already surpassed the number of Chinese Communist Party members. The purity of the gospel and the lordship of Christ made them scared. These government-sanctioned churches who are still, if they are allowed to exist, have to put a portrait of Chairman Mao and the Chairman Xi on in the inside the sanctuary, and with the face recognition cameras installed from the pulpit to all the corners inside and outside the church building, so that he can monitor and surveil any Christians or non-Christians who are on the list of being forbidden to enter into the church building.
Wow. Can you explain for people who would watch this what Sinicization is? Can you expound on that a little bit? Sinicization
literally means, to be like Chinese. If you just take the meaning on surface, it doesn't really mean much. But in the Communist Party's term, Sinicization means, from your doctrine to your core faith, to your practice, to the even church architect, has to be made compatible with the ideology of socialism and communism. That means you even have to change your doctrine. Recently it changed even the teaching in the Bible by making Jesus as the murderer of that woman who was found committing adultery in the gospel. And Sinicization means the Chinese Communist Party's national anthem has to be sung as the first song when on Sunday worship services. Sinicization means the Communist Party's flag have to replace the cross on hundreds of thousands of churches on the rooftop of their church buildings. You have to obey the orders of President Xi Jinping and the Communist Party before you can obey the commands of God, of the Scripture.
So one of the ways that we've articulated that is it is the Communist Party first and God second, and that's just not some catchy phrase. That is the true reality that Christians are being forced into in China.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, so even the second, if Christian second, they would not. They would have a watered down version of Christianity as the second. You can't even have your real Christianity as the second, even after you honor President Xi Jinping.
So they're redefining Christianity in the process, redefining the church, redefining the Bible. They're basically rewriting Christianity in the Bible, correct?
That's correct. rewriting. It's part of the Communist Party's version of cancel culture. I mean, I think cancel your faith.
Yeah.
Right.
It seems like there is a global spiritual war, so to speak. Even here in America, cancel culture, as you've experienced here, is a thing. And you know, a lot of people believe what's going on in America right now is people are utilizing it and catapulting off of that to try to silence the church more and more, and it's opening the door to put more restrictions on the church. I know there's a number of Christian leaders in our own country that's concerned about that. And I think we can look at what's gone on in China and learn and watch to see what's happening. What would you say is needed from the church? You know, we focus on discipleship training over there. We've got a curriculum that trains for missions training. Is that needed in China right now? It seems to me, you know, the purity of the gospel, people's understanding of the Bible is at risk right now.
Oh, absolutely, Jason. I think, I mean, we know the church history. I mean, persecution has been a norm, like a normal thing. Actually, without persecution, you know, it's really the period, you know, actually the church actually is not that normal time. So in the past 70 years in China, under the Chinese Communist Party, certainly, you know, there's not a single day that without persecution. And I think even, you know, with or without persecution or with less persecution, and the word of the Lord and discipleship is the key. Because what makes you stand your faith strong? How do you even survive during this persecution? It's really, ultimately, it's not, you know, by the organization or political party or even our, you know, freedom organizations advocacy effort or a political intervention. I mean, it will lessen sometimes, can help, but it ultimately is really, you know, your faith in Christ and your understanding of the word of the Lord, and to counter this cynicization, deforming the teaching of Christian faith. And so with the right teaching, the biblical teaching and discipleship, I mean, that is the only way, I would say.
Amen, I agree. There's families that I'm friends with that use TikTok, and their kids' faces are on TikTok. They're using this right in their living rooms and their bedrooms at their own home. Are you saying that the Chinese government, even in spite of privacy settings on those applications, are more than likely garnering the audio and the video content and using that in some way?
100%. I mean, you have to read the Chinese national security law that every citizen, every company has a duty, legal duty, to gather intelligence for the Chinese intelligence communities. And so they have to comply. I mean, that's their duty. So the TikTok is a company owned by the Chinese Communist Party. I mean, directly controlled by China. You would think they're not like doing anything about this. I mean, that's absolutely.
What's
so they can trigger the TikTok. Once you install this, your cell phone becomes a listening and monitoring machine device.
How would they use that against an average family here in the United States? I mean, would they single out families, or are they just more trying to gather intelligence and listen for things to help create their ideologies that they would want to push back to combat maybe American mindset? How are they using this information they're gathering?
Oh, it's been already reported in public knowledge. I mean, recently there is a leak of, they call it big data plan. All your hobbies, all your past criminal records, convictions, even your DUIs, and everything is in your file. So when you visit China, what would happen if they know you had a DUI? If they know you have something they can hook on, and they want to take advantage. I mean, they want to basically manipulate that in a way that you have to work for them.
Was COVID intentional by the Chinese government you know, there's some conspiracy theories out there that people think COVID was a biological attack on America, maybe to impact our economy with the economic trade wars. Was it intentional, or did it just leak out?
From what the scientific kind of evidence that are already available and the credible reports available, so this is my personal conclusion, my opinion. I think number one, I'm convinced the COVID was a human manufactured virus and from the lab. And I do not have clear evidence so far showing the intentionally, you know, just try to use it as a biological weapon to do this. But we have 100%, 200% clear evidence that the Chinese Communist Party knowingly leaked this. I mean, kind of allowing this to go to all the Western, especially the Western countries. I mean, then, you know, first Europe, then the United States. I mean, there's no excuse for the Communist Party not to stop it from Wuhan, certainly from China. I think the Chinese Communist Party needs to be held accountable by the whole world, I think, for their casualties.
So it may not have been intentionally warfare, but it was not correctly handled, and they could have done a better job, but they wanted to save face and didn't do what they needed to do?
Well, that's the minimum. I would say they find an advantage of having this in the West, because remember, that's right after the first so-called Phase 1 deal they signed with President Donald Trump. Yeah. And that they know they can't really accommodate and accomplish. And so here we are, you know, the whole world economy is shut down. Certainly they have a best excuse that, sorry, you know, this is unavoidable. We couldn't fulfill our kind of a deal we signed. And they have never done anything really to fulfill their promise.
What are you hearing from some of the house churches in China right now? We've got contact almost weekly that we have with several of the people we are friends with. One of the things we've heard is not only are they having to take their house churches and make them into even smaller groups, which requires more leaders to lead them, but they're having to move locations even on the day of, like it's a day of notice, and so they're calling it the moving underground church. Are you hearing similar things, or what stories are coming out on your side?
Yes, you're right. Basically, the mode of existence of the Chinese church has dramatically changed. You know, before President Xi Jinping, at least some of the form of even independent house churches were allowed to exist, or at least tolerated, right? Yeah. You know, both in rural and some urban areas. And but now, under this ruthless persecution with the restricted form, I think the Chinese church has transformed from underground church now to digital underground church, even like a mobile underground church. I mean, the worship service, instead of a big gathering, they have the walking worship, walking, talking to God, you know, kind of. So that is a new form of existence. And ultimately, you know, no political authority, no emperors, including Emperor Xi Jinping, or no kings has ever destroyed God's church, right? Because even putting our body in prison, the church is still there. As long as the name of Christ and His Holy Spirit is present, and who can destroy God's church? Like Romans 8. Who can separate us from the love of Christ? And even death, even certainly Communist Party or persecutors of any form.
Well, I don't know about you, but that was an incredible conversation with Bob Fu. There's so much more that we discussed in that call that really has blown my mind. I so much appreciate him taking the opportunity to share some of that information with us. I hope it was beneficial to you. I hope it inspired you in some way to be involved with what God's doing. I'm so glad you got to hear from Peter, one of the gentlemen who has helped direct our ABC program, who pastors a church in China. He personally has experienced some of the persecutions that we have talked about in his house church movement with his mom, his own family. He actually has lived some of this, but he's also one of the most joyful people that you'll ever meet. I don't know if you got to experience some of the laughter that he has, but his laugh is one of my favorites in all the world. He's so fun to be with. But it's exciting to see what God is doing in all the countries that World Compassion is working with. You know, China is one that has come to the forefront of all of us over the last year with COVID and the things that are going on all around the world. China's been an integral part of what we have focused on right here at World Compassion. You know, the purity of the gospel, the advancement of the gospel is at risk in China with the rewrite of the Bible, the shutting down of churches, preventing kids from going to church, and if they do, they can't go to school. That's incredible control. And right now we believe that discipleship training more than ever, and we've said this for many years, but honestly more than ever is needed now to get people discipled in sound Bible teaching, for them to understand what the gospel is and what the truth of the word is, what the Bible really has to say. If that starts getting taken out of their country, we've got to leave that in the hearts and the minds of a nation and a China today that can continue to go on for generations to come. And so it is time for the church to take ground. It's time for us to go. It's time for us to stand strong. And we believe that ABC is an avenue to be able to do this, where they can't have open ministry training school centers or Bible schools anymore. ABC is the perfect model, the perfect tool to put in the hands of the underground church. It's underground, it's secretive, it's self-study. They could do it in closed environments where they just can get deeply rooted in the understanding of truth. It is that model. We have over 4,400 students that are currently going through ABC right now, over 700 students that are going through our missions training curriculum right now, being trained to go out into the unreached places of China, going out into the Muslim world to take the gospel, mobilizing and training the largest national church in the world is what we're doing. We've had over 6,100 students already complete this curriculum, and we literally have access to thousands and thousands of more students. So we need your help to do this. In this campaign right now, we're wanting to add an additional 2,000 students. It costs us $50, just like in Myanmar, to put ABC into the hands of somebody in China. That's $100,000 to impact 2,000 more students, to mobilize 2,000 more students throughout the country of China. And we need your help to do it. We have presented a lot of information to you in this event. A lot of the projects that we have in countries like Iraq, Iran, China, and Myanmar. We couldn't do this work without you. Total project goal for this online event is $417,000. And what this does is it funds all the projects that we've outlined for you here in this event. It covers all the rest of the goals that we have for 2020, and it even helps us to start take ground for some of the things that we're planning for 2021. But what that allows us to do is to strictly focus on adding new, taking ground, advancing, and moving forward. We believe right now, more than ever, as we have said before, it is time to sow seed in the ground. It's time to sow seed in nations hostile to the gospel, because the hearts and minds of people are open. And so we want to go as far as we can, as fast as we can. We believe it is time for the church to stand strong. And so I want to ask you to pray about giving a significant gift. As we go into the year end here, I want to ask you to pray about considering World Compassion in your year-end giving plans and help us to hit that goal. You know, my dad invested in people. He invested in us. He invested in this ministry, and he's built something that is built to last. Man, we're moving forward strong. We've got incredible momentum right now. We want to ask you to continue to be a part of that with us, but we've got an opportunity to invest in the local church, to train them, to equip them, to empower them so they are built to last.
Wow, I know I have been encouraged seeing what God has done through World Compassion this year. In a world full of news cycles designed to send society into anxiety, worry, and depression, it is so refreshing to see and hear the good news of revival among the persecuted church. The church historically grows the most when it finds itself under persecution, and there is no better time to invest in the harvest and sow seed than right now. It is still seed time. We are gearing up for some fresh, exciting, and even ground-taking projects with some very ambitious goals. The season is right and the time is now, and we could not do this without you. Part of being built to last means that we focus on the next generation. This Christmas season, we have two very special projects we want to let you know about. First, in Iran, you can give a child a children's Bible, the Story of Jesus booklet, along with a toy, while also giving each family a package of food and an adult Bible for the family. For every gift of $36, we can reach one child and their family this Christmas in Iran. Secondly, in Myanmar, you can provide a child with a special Christmas this year by providing a backpack full of school supplies, a toy, as well as the Story of Jesus booklet for just $17. When you give, you are making a statement as the church. The church will always find a way in times of persecution. It is on us to help be the hands and feet of Jesus to those who have not heard. This is how we make disciples in all the earth. You can be a part of the solution, shining light into the dark places. We couldn't do the work we do without you. We honor and appreciate that you would take the time to hear and see how God is moving in nations hostile and restricted to the gospel. Please make sure to stay connected to receive updates on the impact we're making together. You can do that by connecting with us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as making sure we have your best email so you can stay updated with the latest videos from our projects around the world. You'll also receive prayer points to share how you can best pray for the teams and work on the ground in our target nations. If we can pray for you in any way, make sure to let us know. You can always send in a prayer request to prayer@worldcompassion.tv. Finally, we have put together some additional stories and resources for you right here on our website. If you go to the news section, you can read some incredible stories of life change that have happened this year in the midst of a pandemic. On behalf of Jason and Beth Law and the entire World Compassion team, we want to thank you for your partnership with World Compassion. We will continue to equip and empower the local church through outreach, evangelism, discipleship training, and church planting heading into 2021. This is how we reach and disciple nations. Join us as we add to our legacy and take ground for the kingdom. God bless you all, and thank you for being a part of this special online event.